Whales, the majestic giants of the ocean, have a fascinating evolutionary history that spans over 50 million years. Their journey from terrestrial mammals to fully aquatic creatures is one of the most striking examples of evolutionary transformation in the natural world. In this video, we will explore the origins of whales, the key stages of their evolution, the anatomical adaptations that enabled their transition to marine life, and the environmental factors that likely influenced this dramatic shift. Through fossil evidence, genetic studies, and comparative anatomy, scientists have pieced together a detailed picture of how whales evolved, offering a glimpse into the broader mechanisms of evolution itself. Whales belong to the order Cetacea, which includes dolphins and porpoises as well. Modern cetaceans are divided into two suborders, Mysticeti, which are baleen whales, and Odontoceti, which are toothed whales. Despite their fully aquatic lifestyle, whales are mammals, meaning they are warm-blooded, breathe air, and nurse their young with milk. This mammalian identity points to their terrestrial origins, a fact that was not fully understood until the discovery of key fossils in the late 20th century. The story of whale evolution begins in the early Eocene epoch, around 55 million years ago, in what is now the Indian subcontinent. The earliest known ancestors of whales were small terrestrial mammals belonging to the group Artiodactyla, which includes modern even-toed ungulates like deer, cows, and hippos. Genetic and fossil evidence suggests that whales are most closely related to hippos, sharing a common ancestor that lived around 60 million years ago. This ancestor was likely a small, herbivorous or omnivorous mammal that roamed the land in search of food. One of the earliest transitional forms in whale evolution is Indoheus, a small, deer-like creature discovered in the fossil beds of Pakistan. Dating to about 48 million years ago, Indoheus was not a direct ancestor of whales but shared many characteristics of early cetaceans. It had a long snout, teeth adapted for a varied diet, and limbs suited for terrestrial movement. However, its bones showed signs of a dense structure, a trait seen in modern aquatic animals like hippos, which helps with buoyancy control in water. Indoheus likely spent time wading in shallow waters, possibly to forage for aquatic plants or escape predators, setting the stage for the aquatic transition that would follow. The next significant step in whale evolution came with the appearance of Pakicetus, a genus named after the region in Pakistan where its fossils were found. Dating to around 50 million years ago, Pakicetus is considered one of the earliest true cetaceans. It was a small, wolf-sized animal with a long snout and sharp teeth, suggesting a carnivorous diet. While Pakicetus still had 4 legs and was primarily terrestrial, its air structure showed adaptations for hearing in water, with a thickened bone called the involucrum that is characteristic of modern whales. This suggests that Pakicetus spent time in aquatic environments, possibly hunting for fish or other prey in shallow waters. Following Pakicetus, the fossil record reveals a more aquatic form, Ambulocetus, often referred to as the walking whale. Discovered in Pakistan and dating to about 47 million years ago, Ambulocetus was roughly the size of a sea lion, and had a more streamlined body than its predecessors. Its limbs were still functional for walking on land, but its feet were elongated and webbed, indicating it was a capable swimmer. Basilosaurus likely moved through the water using a combination of paddling with its limbs and undulating its spine, much like a modern otter. Its eyes were positioned at the top of its head, allowing it to see above the water while remaining mostly submerged, a trait useful for ambushing prey. The transition from Pakicetus to Basilosaurus points to the gradual shift from a terrestrial to a semi-aquatic lifestyle. These early cetaceans likely lived in coastal or riverine environments, where the availability of aquatic prey and the need to escape terrestrial predators drove them to spend more and more time in the water. Over generations, natural selection favoured traits that improved their ability to swim, hunt, and survive in aquatic habitats. By the late Eocene, around 40 million years ago, cetaceans had evolved into fully aquatic forms, though they still retained some vestiges of their terrestrial past. The Proto-Cetidae family, which includes genera like Rhodocetus and Myecetus, represents the next stage of whale evolution. Rhodocetus, found in Pakistan and dating back to about 46 million years ago, had a more streamlined body and reduced hind limbs that were no longer functional for walking on land. Its nostrils were positioned higher on its skull, a step towards the blowhole seen in modern whales, and its spine showed increased flexibility, allowing for more efficient swimming through vertical undulation. Myecetus, another protocetid, provides a fascinating glimpse into the reproductive behaviour of early whales. Fossils of Myecetus include a pregnant female with a fetus positioned for a head-first birth, suggesting that it gave birth on land, and its head-first delivery is typical of terrestrial mammals. However, its skeletal structure indicates it was primarily aquatic, highlighting the transitional nature of this stage in whale evolution. The next major leap came with the Basilosauridae family, which lived around 38 to 34 million years ago. Basilosaurus, which was the best known member of this group, was a fully aquatic predator that reached lengths of up to 60 feet. Despite its name, which means king lizard, Basilosaurus was a mammal, not a reptile. It had a long, serpentine body, tiny hind limbs that were no longer used for locomotion, and a skull with nostrils positioned near the top, further resembling the blowhole of modern whales. Basilosaurus likely swam using powerful tail movements, similar to modern cetaceans, and its teeth were adapted for catching fish and squid. Another basilosaurid, Dorudon, was smaller than Basilosaurus but shared many of the same adaptations. Dorudon is considered a close relative of the common ancestor of modern whales, with a body plan that closely resembles that of living cetaceans. The vestigial hind limbs of Basilosaurids, which were too small to be functional, are a striking example of evolutionary change, showing how structures that were once essential for terrestrial movement became obsolete in a fully aquatic lifestyle. By the Oligocene epoch around 34 million years ago, the two modern suborders of cetaceans, Mysticeti and Odontoceti, began to diverge. This divergence was driven by differences in feeding strategies and ecological niches. Mysticetes, or baleen whales, evolved to become filter feeders, using baleen plates to strain small organisms like krill from the water. Odontocetes, or toothed whales, retained their teeth and became active predators, hunting fish, squid, and in some cases other marine mammals. The earliest mysticetes, such as Pakicetus from the late Oligocene period, around 30 million years ago, still had teeth but also possessed small baleen plates, indicating a transitional stage in their feeding evolution. Over time, baleen whales lost their teeth entirely, and their skulls became adapted for filter feeding, with wide, arched jaws to accommodate large volumes of water. Modern baleen whales, such as blue whales and humpback whales, are the largest animals on Earth, a testament to the success of this feeding strategy in exploiting the abundance of plankton in the ocean. Odontocetes, on the other hand, developed sophisticated echolocation abilities, allowing them to navigate and hunt in the dark depths of the ocean. This adaptation likely evolved as a response to the challenges of finding prey in the murky or deep waters. The skull of Odontocetes became asymmetrical, with one side of the nasal passage enlarged to produce high-frequency sounds for echolocation. Modern toothed whales, such as dolphins, orcas, and sperm whales, are diverse in size and behaviours, reflecting the wide range of ecological niches they occupy. The transition from land to sea required a suite of anatomical adaptations that allowed whales to thrive in their new environment. One of the most significant changes was the transformation of their limbs. The forelimbs of early cetaceans evolved into flippers, with elongated finger bones and a flattened shape to provide lift and steering in the water. The hind limbs, as seen in Basilosaurids, gradually reduced in size until they became vestigial, present in modern-day whales as tiny internal bones that serve no functional purpose. The respiratory system of whales also underwent dramatic changes. The nostrils migrated from the tip of the snout to the top of the head, forming a blowhole, which allows the whales to breathe efficiently at the surface without fully emerging from the water. This adaptation was crucial for a fully aquatic lifestyle, as it minimized the energy required to breathe while swimming. Whales also developed a thick layer of blubber, which provides insulation in the cold ocean environment and serves as an energy reserve during long migrations or periods of fasting. Their hair, a characteristic of terrestrial animals, was largely lost, as it was no longer needed for warmth in the water. Additionally, the tail of whales evolved a powerful fluke, driven by strong muscles that allow for efficient propulsion through the water. The sensory systems of whales adapted to their aquatic environment as well. While their sense of smell diminished, their hearing became highly specialized. Modern whales have an acute sense of hearing, with adaptations like a fat-filled lower jaw of odontocetes that conduct sound to the inner ear. Echolocation, as mentioned earlier, became a key tool of toothed whales, while baleen whales rely more on low-frequency vocalizations for communication over long distances. The evolution of whales was not a random process, but was driven by a combination of environmental and ecological factors. During the Eocene, the Earth's climate was warm, and the Tethys Sea, a shallow tropical ocean that once separated Africa and Asia, provided an ideal environment for the early stages of whale evolution. The abundance of aquatic prey, such as fish and invertebrates, likely encouraged early cetaceans to spend more time in the water, while the presence of terrestrial predators may have pushed them to seek refuge in aquatic habitats. As cetaceans became fully aquatic, they spread from the Tethys Sea to other oceans, adapting to a wide range of marine environments. The cooling of the Earth's climate during the Oligocene and Miocene epochs led to the expansion of nutrient-rich upwelling zones in the oceans, which supported large populations of plankton and fish. This abundance of food resources allowed baleen whales to evolve their filter feeding strategy, while toothed whales diversified to exploit different prey types. Competition and predation also played a role in shaping whale evolution. Early whales likely competed with other marine predators, such as sharks and marine reptiles, for food. Over time, whales developed unique adaptations, such as echolocation and baleen feeding, that allowed them to occupy ecological niches unavailable to their competitors. The extinction of large marine reptiles like plesiosaurs and mosasaurs at the end of the Cretaceous period may have opened up ecological space for whales to diversify and thrive in the oceans. In addition to the fossil records, genetic studies have also shown that by comparing the DNA of modern whales and that of other mammals, scientists have confirmed the close relationship between whales and hippos, placing them within the Artiodactyla order. Molecular clock analyses, which estimate the timing of evolutionary divergences based on genetic mutations, suggest that the split between whales and their closest terrestrial relatives occurred around 60 million years ago, consistent with the fossil record. Genetic studies have also shed light on the evolutionary changes that enabled whales to adapt to their aquatic environment. For example, researchers have identified mutations in genes related to oxygen storage and metabolism that allow whales to hold their breath for extended periods during dives. Similarly, changes in genes associated with skin and hair development reflect the loss of hair and the development of blubber in whales. The evolution of whales is a testament to the power of natural selection and adaptation in shaping life on Earth. From their humble beginnings as small terrestrial mammals, whales underwent a series of dramatic transformations that enabled them to conquer the oceans. The fossil record, with its transitional forms, provides a clear picture of this journey, while genetic and anatomical studies reveal the underlying mechanisms that drove these changes. As we continue to study their history through fossils, genetics, and ecology, I hope we can uncover new details about how life adapts to the challenges and opportunities of a changing world. A story that is as relevant today as it was 50 million years ago when the first whales took their plunge into the sea. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.